Figure 4 Radio. Lock it in.
Lock it in.
Lock it in. Lock it in.
Lock it in.
Figure 4 Radio.
Straight line. Sometimes I feel like loading this rifle.
Here's a man with issues.
Night and hiding outside and snipe you.
Eminem,
Not that I don't like
Don't
you.
Approach
It's just
Me,
the
right
way
here on
I
Figure 4
behind the
Radio.
mic, I'm a person who's just like you.
It's Figure 4 Radio, of course. Welcome to the podcast if you are listening via the podcast. Or if not, welcome to mixcloud.com/Figure 4 Radio. This is Almost Live. It's the show where we give you some of the bits of the podcast, a commentary, and of course the latest news. I'll be on the phone a little bit later on with the Scott Star Spud to talk about the basically what's going on in the world, and we're gonna hopefully close a little bit of a case a little bit later on. Anyway, let's have some news, shall we, coming from the wrestling world today, of course, today being a Sunday, the 10th of December. WWE 205 Live star Rich Swann has been arrested on suspicion of kidnapping and battery, according to reports in the United States. The former WWE Cruiserweight Champion is said to have been arrested earlier this morning at 12:09 a.m. in Grantsville, Florida. The local county sheriff in Florida said the 26-year-old faces allegations of kidnap, false imprisonment of an adult, and battery. Kidnapping and false imprisonment in Florida is a third-degree felony punishable by up to 5 years in prison and a $5,000 fine. WWE Hall of Famer Medusa revealed on Instagram that she underwent a knee replacement surgery, and she also posted a video. Also known as Alundra Blaze, Medusa is one of the most iconic women in the history of professional wrestling. She was once infamous for throwing the WWF Women's Championship into a trash can while she was on live WCW television, one of the biggest sparks for the Monday Night Wars. Following WWE's live event in New Delhi, former WWE champion Jinder Mahal decided to take it to social media and react to his WWE India live tour experience by posting a few humble words on Twitter. He said, "Thanks, #WWE Universe India, for a night I will never forget. Regardless of the outcome, it was one of the greatest nights of my life. Hats off to Triple H. Nothing but respect. #WWE India." Anyway, I'm going to talk to Scott Star Spud right after we have a bit of music. Here is Rise Against, Tragedy and Time, and we're going to close a case on something. His choice, of course. He's going to ring me in just after this. Almost Live, Rise Against, Tragedy and Time. Don't forget, if you're listening to the podcast, you will not get any or most of the music. Obviously, you'll get what I talk over the top of. Anyway, music still to come. We do have Tenacious D Tribute picked by Scott. We also have Sleep Token Calcutta picked by Ollie. And we're going to finish off the show with another pick from Luke. It is Prodigy's Invaders Must Die. Also still to come, we do have the commentary match from Jayde Vs Brea Prestley. Oh, God. Getting her name wrong is very terrible, isn't it? Jayde Vs Brea Prestley from Sacrifice Pro 2, of course, commentated on via Ollie Spring and TJ himself as well. That's still to come. And we also have the podcast teaser of this week. It's all about the Pink Slip Challenge. If you don't know anything about that one, me and Scott have been talking about that one on this show. Just go on to mixcloud.com/Figure 4 Radio, and you can listen to the previous episodes of the Almost Live. Anyway, Scott is just about ringing me right now. I suppose I better pick it up. Good, hello?
Hello, I've got a problem and no one else can help. I'm looking to hire Brandon Blackledge team. Dun, 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 dun. I can carry on going if you want.
You can do whatever you like.
I was hoping you were going to ring me and I was going to say it's B&B Private Investigators. How could I help you?
Well, bear with me. And let's see what happens.
Brandon Blackledge Private Investigators. How can I help you?
Has this just made your childhood?
Yes.
Excellent.
I'm still at work, so I'm working on my desk, but not. Yeah.
Okay, so it actually is like a private investigation with paperwork around, and you trying to sort people's lives out.
Yeah, pretty much. I sort people's lives out for a living.
Yeah.
Not to have to sort them out for the better. In many ways, I can fuck them up just as easily. Cool. What do you want to cover? Because I know you've got not a lot of time.
No, I know. Well, you wanted to go on with what happened on Monday Night Raw. Let's not do the highlights, but let's do the main thing.
The important bit. Can I get in with my Royal Rumble prediction? Because I reckon I've got a surefire Royal Rumble prediction. I want to get it in first before anybody else does.
What, are you on about Ollie by any chance?
No. I'm talking about a serious Royal Rumble prediction that I've not shared online for Ollie stealing it and then claiming that he did it first.
Well, you know this time next year he will still claim it as him being the first one to do it.
Yes, I do, but...
Anyway, you go for it, because I also have a prediction as well that I thought we might cover, but we're going to do something else instead.
Okay, well, right. What I wanted to predict was the winner of the first ever female Royal Rumble.
Okay.
I'm thinking it's a big event. You need a big name, and that name could go on to beat everybody. I'm thinking Ronda Rousey.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I've heard some negotiations might be in the pipe work for her to go into WWE.
Have it that she's not doing any more MMA.
Yes.
We know that her friend's been at NXT.
Yes.
She was at WrestleMania 31 where she threw Steph around.
Yes.
You don't need any other better excuse to get Steph into a WrestleMania card than going against Ronda Rousey. And what better time to make a debut than in the first ever Women's Royal Rumble?
Nice. I like it.
That's my thought. And I was really excited when I came out with that idea, so now I want them to book it.
What if they don't?
Well, I've given them all this gold. On a weekly basis, we basically book how they should run the entire WWE, and they don't listen. They need to start listening, because that's brilliant.
Well, they are fucking idiots.
Yes. Right, so, do you want to do Raw?
Yeah, let's do Raw. Can I? Because no, fuck it. We're doing next week. We're doing next time. Because we're going to talk about Omega versus Jericho. But let's do Raw instead.
Well, to be honest, there's like a couple of highlights from Raw. This week did seem like there wasn't a lot going on, which sounds really, really bad. But it did kind of feel that there was nothing going on. I mean, SmackDown's got all of the stuff going into their last pay-per-view of December. It kind of feels like Raw's kind of winding down a little bit.
Yep.
But I think that's worked in a certain Mr. Matt Hardy's favour, because he's now awoken. And it's pretty much exactly the same as being broken. And apparently he's got the rights to it now, which is brilliant. I know there was a article that popped up on a few websites saying that Vince McMahon is really happy with the character because he knows that it's over and how quickly it's taken off, and he's giving Matt Hardy lots of leeway to run with it, which is, in my head, is fantastic. They've already announced that there's a Matt Hardy figure being released next year, an awoken Matt Hardy figure. So, yeah, it definitely looks like it's going to be a delightful 2018.
It looks brilliant, and it's overdue in my eyes. Do you think the creative team, because obviously we know Matt Hardy's had the creative freedom with this character, do you think he's going to carry on having that freedom in the WWE?
Yeah, I think I do, because there was an article that went up, I want to say Sports Illustrated website, I can't honestly remember, but apparently he's quoted as Vince McMahon is giving him room to stretch his legs because he wants the opportunity to cash in on the character. And it leads to the $64 million question, is when is Maxwell Hardy going to debut on Raw?
I know, I was thinking that. What about his wife? Because it would be good to see her back on the old screens again. And obviously Maxwell...
Him?
No, I'm on about his wife.
I'm talking about Maxwell Hardy, the greatest undefeated wrestler of our time.
What, do you think he's going to go up against John Cena at Money in the Bank and beat him?
Don't be a tool. He's going to take on Braun Strowman.
God.
Think about it. Braun can't reach him because he's too short. He runs in between his legs. Let's face it, Kalisto beat Braun by kicking him off the ring apron. I'm pretty certain that Maxwell could do something similar.
What, beat him around the head with a rattler?
Quite possibly. I mean, we've never actually seen Kalisto and Maxwell Hardy next to each other. They could be the same person.
God. No, that's not happening. No,
it could do.
No, but
this is why WWE need to employ me. This gold dust, if you pardon the pun, is going to waste. But yeah, on Raw, that was the only thing that really stood out for me. I don't know about... What is it for you?
As we both know, that I am currently not a huge fan of the WWE. I'm more of a Lucha Underground, the indie scene of Ring of Honor. That I have been watching the highlights ever briefly, as you said. Let's talk about Matt Hardy. It's got to be Matt Hardy, really, hasn't it? Basically, he's setting the wrestling world alight. Now he's back, or awoken. And it's fantastic. I don't think 2018 is going to be any better than 2016 in terms of the Broken Hardys. Will we see Jeff Hardy, though, back with him?
Oh, you see, no, I think that's where it's going to be interesting, because he could come back and, they could have that whole match thing going on again, where they're going, Jeff comes back and going, "Brother, what's happened to you?" And then I'm just waiting for him to go, "Brother Nero, I knew you'd come." And the world's going to go nuts. They'll have their match. I envisage Matt Hardy going over if the character's going well.
Exactly.
And just bringing back Brother Nero, winning everything. Let's face it, they made TNA last year, and virtually within a month of them leaving, everybody started to leave TNA. TNA got pinned by a fucking owl.
Nah.
Done.
I know, it's absolutely fantastic. I loved... I just wished that the whole the court thing about GFW and TNA and just being complete dicks. How I still maintain this to this day. How awesome would it be if Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy appeared at WrestleMania as Brother Nero and Awoken Matt Hardy? Would it just be more incensed?
But it would have only been, it would have got as big a pop as if it was the Hardy Boys.
Yeah.
We'll never know. That would have been pretty awesome. But that could happen next year.
It could, but it won't have that same effect. I really hope when Jeff Hardy does come back and they do the Brother Nero, nice to see you again, that Jeff Hardy just looks at the camera and thinks, "Oh, for fuck's sake, not this again." I really want that moment of, oh, Jesus.
Oh, this shit again. Vanguard 1, apparently Vanguard 1 could be parceled in the gimmick toy that they're doing for him, so yeah.
Oh, God, no. I love that.
Isn't it worrying that basically like a 2-minute segment of Raw was the best thing that we pulled out of it?
Exactly. So, how far do you think they're going to carry on with this Bray Wyatt Matt Hardy thing?
Well, according to Matt Hardy's Twitter, he's not just targeting Bray Wyatt, he is targeting Sister Abigail, who apparently got pinned by some viral disease rather than faced Finn Balor earlier on in the year.
Okay.
But no, I think, to be honest, Matt Hardy's gunning it. I think he can take on anybody. The question is, will they let him go over on Bray? And I think they will. If the character's getting over even half as much as it was, it's going to be amazing. It
certainly is. Now, I absolutely love Bray, as we all know that I love the Bray character just because it reminds me of the old times of The Undertaker Kane. However, as soon as I saw Matt Hardy's thing, I kind of lost that sort of edge with Bray Wyatt, and Matt Hardy is becoming now one of my favourite wrestlers in the WWE at the minute, and I've never said that before.
It's a good character, let's be fair.
It is. It's a good gimmick.
So, do you want me to seamlessly segue over to the next thing you wanted to talk about?
Well, you're kind of not doing that by saying,
I am. What is it? I mean, the most exciting thing on Raw was Matt Hardy, but the second most exciting thing going on in the WWE is what's happening with Chris Jericho and him facing Kenny Omega in January.
No, that was shit.
You twat. I think it's really good, though.
No,
I'm excited about this.
Do you think it's a WWE New Japan sort of crossover? Will we see Kenny Omega come to the WWE with or going after Chris Jericho?
In answer to your question, no, it's definitely not a joint venture. I don't think that would ever work. But I do think that it could open the door for Kenny Omega if he so desires, but I don't think he will. I mean, let's face it, he's the go-to guy for the Bullet Club. The Bullet Club is massive. It's bigger than most of the roster in the WWE. So Jericho's done this thing on his talk show, where he was saying that he told Vince McMahon about 6 weeks beforehand, and Vince McMahon was really excited, which I can actually believe, because I think when push comes to shove, he probably is a fan, and if the wrestling business as a whole is booming, and let's face it, it is. he's going to be reaping in even more money than he has anywhere else. And I think the whole bit about the Alpha versus the Omega is that Jericho's seen as a WWE guy. He's not seen as a New Japan star anymore.
Yeah.
He's a WWE guy going in there to take on the New Japan high-flying new star of the next decade, all being well. So I think that's the sweet spot about it. And yeah, maybe it could come back and could... I don't think it's going to happen. But having said that, I think Jericho's going to go, here's my telephone number, call me when you want to work for the WWE, and why not?
Well,
I'm quite excited. It could be really, really good.
I can't wait, because there is that sort of rumour going around on the old intranet that obviously they're going to do this thing at Wrestle Kingdom, and possibly Chris Jericho being at the Royal Rumble, and here comes Kenny Omega at the Royal Rumble.
I'll be honest, I think that is internet wishful thinking.
It is.
I don't doubt that Chris Jericho probably wants to be at WrestleMania, because let's face it, if he can be on the two biggest cards in the world and have the two biggest paydays of the year, he probably will do it off. And if anyone can pull it off, Chris Jericho can. I've said it on our podcast before. Stuff Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho is Mr. WrestleMania. He's been on more. He's played his part in each one so much better. He's such an invaluable member of the roster, and his recent run was just amazing.
He made his own list, let's face it, and he's on everybody's list to get them on their main event. Did you see what I did there?
I did, but being serious, he also got the word "it" over with the crowd. That's just insane. Do you know what I mean? It's like just pausing, going "it," and then the crowd will start to get his run was amazing. Absolutely fantastic.
I certainly don't think he is done yet either with the WWE or that. Do you think he'll be on more of a sort of a part-time contract so he can do both WWE and possibly New Japan?
No. I don't think Vince plays well with others, and I don't think he would share.
Bless him. Well, he always had to share with Brock Lesnar for a little bit with the UFC, but he did that. So.
Yeah, but that's slightly different, because they've said numerous times they don't see UFC as competition, and that UFC is massively mainstream. How much publicity did they get that their champion, or he wasn't champion at the time, went into the ring, beat the crap out of whoever that whingy guy was, looked amazing. I mean, all right, later Brock got told off for taking some naughty substances. But the amount of mainstream publicity WWE got was insane. It's half the reason they're still friends with The Rock, because every time The Rock does a film that smashes it out of the park, someone somewhere on some TV or radio show goes, "Oh, he used to wrestle for the WWE. It's Dwayne The Rock Johnson." He's still The Rock. And every time you say it, people...
But if not Chris Jericho, to be honest, mate, I was trying to think of this on the way back in the car. Who else from the WWE could have that big of an impact to go over to New Japan and challenge Kenny Omega? I was trying to think of...
man.
I was trying...
They will be chanting, "Yes! Yes! Yes! Yes!"
You reckon?
That's Brian. Right. I will get it out of the way. As long as he is healthy, it's not going to injure him. His family's safe, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No one wants any of that. But if he was to, he could go over to New Japan. He could headline at Wrestle Kingdom. He could go to Ring of Honor. I don't know what the situation. There's loads of rumors saying that the WWE might clear him and all this nonsense. As long as he's healthy and can do it safely, I want to see him in the ring.
I personally don't think that the WWE will obviously want to lose Daniel Bryan. Do you think the medics might go, actually, you know what, we think he might be all right? And okay, this is my point about the Royal Rumble, because remember this year's Royal Rumble, there was no
that
real...
was a big sideways step there.
Yeah, I know, but I'm going somewhere with this. And I'm going back. There was no real surprise. This is why I want something like Kenny Omega, because of the AJ Styles. But then I was just thinking, as you just mentioned that name, what if his music hit at, say, like number 25? Obviously, he doesn't go to WrestleMania, but he just has that Royal Rumble impact. Just for one.
I would mark out for it, and they could keep that super quiet as well.
Yes.
Because let's face it, Daniel Bryan ain't big on internet or Twitter. You have a quiet word with him saying, "Okay, if you're cleared, we want you to be back in at the Royal Rumble.
I mean, it's just a Rumble as well, so he can
Imagine if they'd done what our fantasy booking with Survivor Series, where the winner got a specific number in the Rumble, like number 30, and SmackDown had got. If this WWE, you need to plan this. SmackDown had got and won number 30. Comes to number 30, you don't know who's there, and all of a sudden Daniel Bryan's music hits. How amazing would that be?
Exactly.
You're spot on. That's a good shout.
I mean, he doesn't have to win it. He doesn't have to do much. He just has to be there with his gear in the ring and gets put over the side again, 2 minutes in. And I think the crowd would still go apeshit.
The crowd would get so angry at whoever threw him out. And do you know who could throw him out?
Who?
Shane O'Mac. Looks like he's doing a bit of a heel turn. What better way to have the best heel turn ever if Shane O'Mac, for whatever stupid reason, is in the Rumble and he threw out Daniel Bryan? Or when Daniel Bryan's returning. Can you imagine the heat Shane would get?
Yeah. I can't
Why
help...
aren't we writing for the WWE?
Because they can't afford us. We know this.
Yes. I knew there was a good reason.
So basically, talking pre-production of this little telephone conversation, we talked a little bit about Kenny Omega and yada, 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 Matt Hardy. But in fact, we've actually just booked Royal Rumble for them.
We have.
And I think we should just leave it there.
No, if you're happy with that, then that's good by me.
All right, that's the Blackledge and Brand private investigation into the Royal Rumble, it seems.
Yeah, we've solved a case we didn't even know existed.
But now the case is closed.
Yes.
Right, see you next time. If any of those predictions happens at the Royal Rumble next year, I seriously want a contract with the WWE. Anyway, let's get back to the music. Here is Sleep Tokens, Calcutta, and then we're going to have the Slip Pink podcast teaser for all of you fans. Sleep Token, Calcutta. It's Figure 4 Radio on mixcloud.com/Figure 4 Radio. Or if you're listening to the podcast, it's on our website. It's figure4radio.weebly.com. Easily subscribe on iTunes, on Stitcher, on Podomatic, any podcast provider. You can get our podcast. Or for our full archives, just go onto our website. Like I said, it's figure4radio.weebly.com. We do have some of our older podcasts on our YouTube channel. All you have to do is log on to YouTube. It's youtube.com/F4TV. Anyway, that was Ollie's choice. Like I said, it was Sleep Token, Calcutta. Music still to come. We do have a choice from Scott, which is Tenacious D with Tribute. And we're going to finish off with The Prodigy by Invaders Must Die. That's picked by Luke. Also, we have a commentary match from Ollie and TJ from Sacrifice Pro 2, where Jayde took on Brea Prestley. Anyway, let's get to the podcast teaser, shall we? We do this every show on Almost Live. It's basically where I give you like 10 minutes of this week's podcast. But I'm going to do last week's podcast because if you are listening to the podcast, this is this week. So if you're listening to the podcast, this is going to get very confusing. This is last week's podcast. So if you haven't heard last week's podcast, this is what it's all about.
Figure 4 Radio.
Hello everyone, welcome to Figure 4 Radio. It's the mastermind, Ollie Spring. Today joined by the Killer Kai Brand.
Cock.
And Scott Star Spud.
Bigger cock.
Yeah. Right, so today we're going to be talking about our Pink Slip Challenge. So, about... What?
I just giggled at pink slip, sorry.
What?
I'm a child.
Doesn't mean vagina.
Yeah, well...
It's a bit of paper you handed when you're fired in America.
Never, is it? Never been fired in America.
No. Right, so about this time last year, Scott Star Spud came up with an idea where we all pick 5 names out and then we see of who we think is going to get fired.
Yeah, the idea is that if they're fired, we get a point.
Yeah.
And if they're not fired, we don't get a point.
We quickly changed that to people who left, because some people just left of their own.
Oh, yeah. Fired, so basically aren't in the WWE
by the end of the year.
They leave the E. It has been a cause for controversy, so what we're going to do today is start a new one for next year, and we're going to outline some rules this time. But let's talk about who we picked last time.
And explain our thought process.
So I picked, bear in mind, this was made on the 1st of January 2017. I've actually got the date here on my phone, apparently.
Yep.
Notes do that now. So I picked Rhino, Elias Thampton, Tamina, R-Truth, Sin Cara, and then we all picked a wild card, which was someone we didn't think was going to get fired, but imagine if they did.
But would leave in theory.
And I picked Kofi. I just didn't... No, at that point,
Your list is stupid.
well, Rhino, I figured he was only back to help Heath Slater and push him, and then he
Still
was
there.
going to go back into politics, which he hasn't done, but that's cool. Elias Sampson, I just thought he wasn't going to get. I just didn't think
Elias
anyone.
is on TV every week.
I didn't think the 1st of January this year. I didn't think that Elias, Tamina, or R-Truth, or Sin Cara were going to be as simple as that. There was no further reasoning. That I just thought they were the people that were going to go. Kai.
I picked not to eat pizza for a whole year, and that's I should win just purely on that basis.
To be fair, you've had a fucking awesome year. I didnn't genuinely, hand on heart, I didn't think you were going to get through the first week.
About to say, wasn't it 2 weeks?
I'm sorry, I thought you'd do it. I have no doubt in my mind that you'd do it.
So impressed. Anyway, carry on.
So I picked Goldberg, quite rightly so. He's gone.
No, true. I mean, your list has definitely got tactics to it.
Yeah. To what I think, past it, should go or get fired. So I got Goldberg, Undertaker, and I'll still fight to this day.
And this is why we need better rules this year round. But yeah, we'll get into
Because
that.
I think he's retired, and we all agreed on this year's or whatever last year's that if he doesn't wrestle again in 2017, I get the point. We all agreed that. Shut the fuck up. I know you guys are thinking and trying to argue.
This is it. So I'm not going to argue anymore because
Okay, good.
we didn't have rules. But this year I'm going to make some rules.
Excellent. Chris Jericho, mainly because he comes and goes, so I thought I could snip that one in there.
And in fairness,
He can go.
he has gone. Technically, I know he's still on.
New Japan.
He's
Pro
on
Wrestling.
going New Japan, and so I
a
think
match.
that counts as a point. Yeah, for a match, but
But then my argument is Jushin and Thunder Liger came to NXT for one match. Doesn't mean he's
Should've picked them.
No. But doesn't mean that he left New Japan.
I'm inclined to give Kai the point. I'm not. I want to see Jericho versus Omega.
Okay, so
but he's gone.
So
I think
basically,
you have to give him a point.
a point of recording, I've got 0 points.
Yep.
Kai's got a point for Goldberg.
Yep.
Maybe half a point for Jericho.
No, I give him a point for Jericho. It's only fair.
And a point for Undertaker, assuming that he doesn't wrestle again in 2017.
Are we agreed to give Kai the point? Because I don't think
Mark
Undertaker's
Henry's
gone.
retired. So I think he gets
Whoa, I haven't introduced him. So I got Mojo Rawley as well.
He's
That's
still
just
there.
because you don't like him, right?
Yeah, shits and giggles. I even put him over to win at the Andre.
I cannot believe that's still one of my moments of the year. I was like, how the fuck?
That was my piss take moment.
Yeah.
That actually came true. And Mark Henry, as quite rightly, he keeps saying, is he retired, is he not? So basically, I've just gone for people who's going to retire or, as Jericho, go away and then might come back in 2018, whatever. Or 2019, because he seems to bugger off. And Mojo Rawley because he's a twat.
I think you've definitely got 3 points there.
Yeah. My wild card, Dolph Ziggler.
There was one point it was in talks, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I was all over that shit.
Yeah.
And then they gave him a gimmick. It's like, oh shit.
So how many? So Scott, how many do you reckon for Kai? 3?
Definitely 3. Undertaker's a question mark, really.
Yeah.
Because he only wrestles once a year.
Yeah.
And it was you who suggested it. But if he's at WrestleMania next year, he's not retired, has he?
This is it.
But I think definitely 3 points is a
But then,
Okay.
what if he announces now that he is retired?
Yeah, but
that
I-
is-
literally right now.
to be fair,
Well,
mate,
yeah.
If he just pops up on the phone.
You've still won, I think.
Scott, I think you've won. To
It's
be
just
fair.
I've got a strong card, Scott.
So I selected Paige, who very irritatingly returned to TV after a year's absence this past Monday.
How?
How did she return to
I
TV?
mean, how has she not got fired?
I don't know. Apparently she's single now. That's probably the main reason she's not been fired.
And she
And they
sits
also
on Vince McMahon?
they can't fire her due to injury because I'm pretty certain she'd have him over a barrel. Then I picked James Ellsworth, and I'm genuinely gutted that he's gone.
Points.
Points. I thought he would only be on a year's contract. I love the stuff he's doing with Carmella. I'm actually genuinely gutted to get a point from that because apparently there was rumours he was going to do an intergender type of thing in the women's division, and they've decided not to go with that. But I think if anyone could have pulled it off, he could. But hopefully he'll do really well once he's left. Curtis Axel, I think he's missed it by the skin of his teeth. I think he's only just there.
He's in the Miztourage now.
He's in the Miztourage, but
former IC champ.
let's face
Miztourage.
it, this year they've got rid of Emma, who's been on TV every week. So just because he's on telly every week doesn't necessitate that he's going to be there. Then I've picked the Vaudevillains, which has caused outcry because one of them has
controversy. One of them's gone. One of them
gone.
hasn't. So
the
half
tag
a point,
team,
right?
the Vaudevillains, does no longer
I
exist.
think half a point. Hang on. Making your life easier. Go on.
So the Vaudevillains as a tag team have gone. One of them has definitely left, and the other one's still there. So I think the tag team has gone. And then my last guess was Eva Marie,
Which
who
has gone.
thank fuck has gone. Then on my wild card was Cesaro, who hasn't really moved anywhere on the card, although he is part of the bar at the minute, which is...
He is currently, was he tag team champion at the moment?
Yeah.
Yeah, not really doing much.
Yeah, but that was the wild... Says the man who got fuck all points
Yeah.
and
It
wants
was
to
wild
change the rules
You
so
see-
he can win.
You see, I think, so James Ellsworth has gone, Eva Marie has gone,
Yeah.
half of the Vaudevillains have gone, so I think Scott gets 2.5.
Yes, Scott definitely.
Scott-
Mine's more of an argument point, isn't it, really?
Mark Henry hasn't been announced as retiring or gone.
But he is working as a producer. isn't he?
But nothing's been announced as far as his in-ring career over. Same for Undertaker. So I think Kai gets a point for Goldberg, and that's it.
No, he has to have Jericho. Come on, Jericho.
It has to have Undertaker.
It's WWE.
Yeah. So, okay, between you guys, you can decide who goes first this year.
I'll let Scott go first. I don't mind. I think Scott, quite
So-
rightly, because mine are all argument points. Has the Undertaker actually retired? Is Mark Henry, is he actually retired? Is he not?
I think you definitely played the system that was in place at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I played to what I had and went with it. So even though I still think mine's quite strong, I think legitimately at this point, because they have actually gone, Scott definitely I think wins.
But only by half a point then, because you definitely got 2 points. It's only the argument over Henry and Undertaker.
Well, yeah.
So, here is the plan that I proposed. From this point forward, up until whenever,
loses again.
up until we have our annual kind of Christmassy recording session next year. So obviously it's undisclosed. If you go to the website www.com/superstars, we all pick names and we don't stop until they've all gone. And
Seriously, I think we just do 5.
well, no. I say we're going to milk a podcast out of this, and then when we come back next year, we're going to read through the list of people are there, and then for everyone that's not on, we all get a point, and then we see. So instead of it being possibly out of 5, we're going to be able to potentially get 10s and 20s and all
Now,
that sort of stuff.
are we including commentators? I say you've got Renee Young on screen. For some,
as I say,
quickly closing that window, didn't he?
everybody that is on the page www.com/superstars, regardless. So they have got 205 Live on there. They've got commentators. They've got managers.
So just by your own rules, the original person who picked Mick Foley, which I did last year, I would have got a point for that by your new rules.
That was last year. This is this year. But then I don't know if Mick Foley was on there. He probably was.
He was.
He probably was. Okay. That is the one rule. They are on there right now at this point of recording. If they are not on that website next year at time of recording, then you get a point. Simple as that.
Done.
And for editing purposes, we're just going to shout names out, and we will.
I think we need to quickly discuss why we picked him initially, and then the rest of them will.
Okay, for the top 5, we'll discuss, and then we'll start just breaking it down.
Cool.
Right.
So I'm going first, yeah?
We're not including Pete Dunne or.
Why not?
We're not including NXT. We're not including NXT, are we?
Yeah, because they've got the champions. But then when you go current, it's there. Right. So we could go NXT, but we're not. We're just going to go current, and we're just going to include everybody on that page.
Right. In which case, then, my first pick.
Scott's first pick
is going to be the man who will leave in 2018 and probably join Ring of Honor to challenge for the World Championship. That is Daniel Bryan.
Oh. Daniel, okay. You think he's legit
Why don't you just put our names next to the wrestler on your list?
Because you'll probably swindle this, and we'll have to listen back.
It's on audio!
No, we need it right. In fairness, you said earlier on that this was your game, and it was blatantly my idea.
So I'm going to take it because I can't read your handwriting because you're blatantly working in a hospital and...
want to be a doctor.
Yeah. I tell you what, I'm going to pick this one because I think of what's happening right now and what they're doing to him, and I think he's going to go off and do more films like Dwayne The Rock Johnson as John Cena.
You think he's going to be gone?
I think he's going to be gone by the end of
2018. As in, because
as in he's wrong.
You know that The Rock is on here, right?
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Figure 4 Radio.
If you want to check out the full podcast, then go on to iTunes, go on to Stitcher, go on to Podomatic, or indeed go onto our website. It's figure4radio.weebly.com. We're going to find out the winner next year in 2018. Let me know if you're going to join in with that as well with your friends. Please give us a tweet or give us a message. It's facebook.com/figure4radio. Give us a follow on Twitter. Like I said, it's at Figure4Radio. We also have an Instagram as well, but we're going to talk about that a little bit later. And coming up next, we do have that commentary match all the way from Sacrifice Pro 2. Anyway, here's Tenacious D It's Tribute right here on Figure 4 Radio. Tenacious D on Figure 4 Radio, that was Tribute. It's not the greatest song in the world, but it would do. That was Tenacious D, picked by Scott Star Spud. The only song still to come on the show is The Prodigy, Invaders Must Die, picked by Luke. It's going to finish off this week's show. Anyway, let's not mess about. Let's get straight on to what we're meant to be here for, and that is, of course, talking about Sacrifice Pro Wrestling. I absolutely love Sacrifice Pro Wrestling. I wanted to do a different promotion for this show. However, because we are doing it for the podcast as well, seriously, I just want to give them as much exposure as I can. I absolutely love what they stand for. They're basically a charity promotion. If you have a charity, get in contact with them, and I'm sure they'll put on an event to help your charity, all the way from Leighton Buzzard in, is it Buckinghamshire or Bedfordshire? One of the two. Anyway, if you've got a charity nearby, I'm sure they'll help you out. If you want more information on Sacrifice Pro Wrestling, then why not go onto their Facebook page, which is www.facebook.com/Sacrifice Pro. You can also hear our very own mastermind doing the commentary matches for that one. And if we go all the way back to Sacrifice Pro Wrestling 2, we can hear Ollie call the match between Jayde and Brea Prestley. Take it away, Ollie. What a match that sounded like. If you want more information on Sacrifice Pro Wrestling, go onto their Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Sacrifice Pro. Anyway, if you want more information on where Ollie is going to be in the next couple of months, I'm your guy. On the 17th of December, that's next weekend, he will be at School of Slam. It's basically the NXT, or the developmental promotion for Wrestling League. He will be there in Harwich. On the 23rd of December, he will be in Ipswich for DOA. On the 30th of December, he will be at Sacrifice Pro Wrestling in Leighton Buzzard. And on the 27th, the day before my birthday, how dare he will be at Wrestling League in Ipswich. And on the 4th of February, he'll be back at Sacrifice Pro Wrestling. And hopefully me and Scott Star Spud are going to make a trip down there just to check out Sacrifice Pro Wrestling. And on the 18th of February, he will be at Wrestling League back in Harwich. And on the 24th of February, he will be at DOA. And on the 25th of March, me and Ollie will team up again for exposure down in Newport. So if you want more information on where Ollie is, you want to book him for a promotion to call your matches or your event, get in contact with him. Is at F4R_mastermind, or why not get in contact with a Figure 4 Radio themselves or ourselves. It's at Figure 4 Radio. Anyway, thank you for listening. If you're listening to the podcast, if you are listening to it on Mixcloud, don't forget we do have The Prodigy, Invaders Must Die. But for the podcast listeners, thank you so much for listening. If you want more information on Figure 4 Radio, go onto our website. It's figure4radio.weebly.com. Don't forget you can subscribe on iTunes, on Stitcher, on Podomatic, on any other podcast providers. Or if you want to follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, or on Instagram. On Twitter and Instagram is at Figure 4 Radio, or on Facebook it is at facebook.com/Figure 4 Radio. Don't forget, if you want loads of information, if you want everything to do with Figure 4 Radio, just go onto our website. It includes all of our back catalogue of the podcast, including the ones that are on youtube.com/F4TV. Again, that website is figure4radio.weebly.com. Anyway, from the mastermind, from Scott Star Spud, from Luke O'Mac, thank you ever so much for listening. And for the Almost Live, here is the song I promised you. It's Luke's choice. It's The Prodigy, Invaders Must Die. Enjoy.
main event, and Bea Prestley, the WCPW Women's Champion. She is merciless, she is nasty. This guy does not know what treat they're in for.
Of course, sticking with the Southern Pacific influences, I guess. Bea Prestley all the way from New Zealand. The Bea Prestley's opponent today. 4 seasons of Halloween.
The Princess making her Sacrifice Pro debut. And she is not an unfamiliar face. A member of Team Mad as well. This girl is anything but a princess. And these two, Ollie, have a storied history. They've had a rival that's gone up quite far. Jayde picking up the last. Here. She is facing a very angry, hungry, motivated Bea Prestley who is carrying the WCPW title on her back, and she's not waiting at all.
Straight out of the gates. Going straight after Jayde.
Like I said, we did not sleep on Bea Prestley.
Bea Prestley just grabbing Jayde by the hair. Just toying with her right now. Oh, wait a second. Flying emphasis from Jayde.
Fighting wrestler here. Like she's not willing to just lay down and take it. She's got the forearms and knock her back.
Jayde firing back straight away after that early offense from Bea.
You're not going to see anything overly technical. You're going to see some nasty hard hitting. She's very determined. They're going to be the first victor in the women's division in F4R Wrestling.
That's right, team's history being made today here in Leighton Buzzard.
These are wrestlers. They know holds, they know strikes, they know slams, and they're not afraid to show them.
Oh, and Jayde with a running cannonball. Oh my goodness.
Smack in the head. That is, there's no Mackie down there. That is just wood. Belly behind Jayde here.
Oh, and a kick to the face of Jayde then. She caught her face on the apron on the way down.
The double slam. She smacked her in the face and hit the jaw on the bottom of the apron.
Oh, look at Bea Prestley. Oh, and a kick of her own.
Giving her a return shot there. And the dive she just made on a few minutes ago. This is what we said about Bea Prestley.
As they straight out the gate, you can just tell the viciousness here.
Merciless. It's time to move.
Look at that, Bea Prestley just showing no regard, even for the crowd here, mocking the audience.
They know each other so well. In the case of right now, I would say it's Bea Prestley. Especially that point where their backs and lows. There's an added pressure to her to win. Some nasty forearm shots there as well.
Oh, come on, Jayde, look at her. Is Jayde that really ugly?
One of the 4 times on the back panel, she's been striking her on the chest and on the back, she's going to come bleeding.
Oh, and so running back elbow there is.
She's twisting as she hits her. She's adding a bit more oomph and that elbow shoots into her back. And look at this, she's not letting her mount the camera, she's not letting her get up. Every time she makes a session, she gets struck back down again, Ollie.
You can just tell there was absolutely no love lost here between these two women.
Oh, that's nasty.
Butterfly DDT. And while Bea Prestley may float like a butterfly, she definitely stings like a bee.
You want to watch out, you know, that she gets, when she starts to get her headway, she becomes more and more nasty. She doesn't soften as the match goes on. She just becomes more vicious. I think she's got an added psychological advantage because she's more motivated. Because Jayde's already beaten her, so now she's about to get stronger, she's faster and meaner. But she doesn't want to lose to her again.
That's right, Bea Prestley definitely has a point to prove in this match. Oh, look at this quick fire! Forearms and chops from Jayde.
Nasty shots here. And this is how Jayde put down the
roundhouse kicks to both women. Just shows you, Teach, just how well they do know each other. Just mirroring each other's moves there.
And they've had a storied rivalry. It's not going to end here. It's going to keep on going. These are the kind of things that got Jayde the WXW tryout. Very confident going in. And now down to the knees and the energy. They're running out of energy really quick because they've been going at such a high pace from the get-go. Who has more in the tank? Who has more to give?
And just look, I mean, they're pulling no punches right now, teams. The amount of venom in each of these forearm shots. Oh, look at that! Huge clothesline.
Beautiful. She's finding her groove here.
Oh, running knee!
Strike as
Oh
well.
my goodness! And a nice neck breaker there from Jayde. Really tearing things up right now, team.
Absolutely. She's a two-time member. You'll notice she has been focusing on that neck from the very first drop. As she dived out of the ring, and her head, Bea Prestley's head, hit the wooden floor. And ever since she's been focusing on that area, which is a smart thing to do.
Oh, Jayde going for trick or treat.
Bea Prestley on none of it.
Oh my goodness.
And the harder pass on the corner.
Just a nice snap suplex there from Bea Prestley.
Oh, what a knee.
Oh my goodness.
Knock on Jayde here.
Just the 2 count.
You're wondering what she's going to do to beat Jayde here. And this is where the advantage may fall into Jayde's favor because now Bea's wondering what else she's got to do to pull her away. She couldn't do it the last time.
Wait a second. Jayde, trick or treat! Oh, well, look at that. Bea Prestley is rolling towards the ropes. She's got her hand on the
The
ropes.
wily veteran.
Clearly knowing her way around the ring there.
Absolutely.
Amazing ring awareness.
Spent a long, long time in the ring. A lot of different people. Jayde looking to go up and pull her away here.
I haven't seen Jayde go up to the top too often. Wait, Teach,
She's taking it seriously.
what's she looking for, Teach?
She's got to be quick with Bea Prestley.
Oh, wait a second. Oh, no. Bea Prestley chopping her head. Oh, no, chicken Nando's kick. Oh, my goodness. Oh, no, Teach, this is looking dangerous right now. Bea Prestley's going up top. Jayde is in a prone position here.
Absolutely. She's going to make a statement.
Bea Prestley just overshooting it. She's got her up. Canadian Destroyer! Oh my goodness!
Canadian Destroyer!
What a move!
A lot of first and second first pro wrestling.
Oh wait, Jayde's got her up. She's trying at least. She's got her up. She's going to get her.
What's she going for here?
She's going to hit Bert at the stake by the looks of it. Oh, but look at just the body of Bea Prestley. Just dead weight.
You're basically dead on your feet.
Just dead weight there.
Away from. Jayde's got to take advantage here. Look at the fact Bea Prestley can stand up.
Going to try it again. Oh, she's got her up. Has Jayde got her? Bert at the stake! That is good night for Bea Prestley without a doubt. 1, 2, 3. That's all she wrote.
The Poison Princess winning her debut.
Ladies and gentlemen, the years to come, when you're sitting in your local pub quiz and the question comes up, who won the first ever women's match in Sacrifice Pro Wrestling? You can tell them it was Jayde, and you know what, Teach? We can say we were there.
Absolutely, to do it with a Canadian Destroyer. You do not see that very often, and what a move in women's wrestling to make a statement in women to do what the men can do. My hats off to them.
Just shows that Jayde was willing to do all it took to put Prestley away.